SGR Knowledge Foundation, powered by Rise on Education. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us a very powerful diaced voice on the topic, the power of breakthroughs, turning ordinary moments into extraordinary life lessons. We have with us Madam Megha Bajaj. She's a best-selling author, film script writer, passionate educator, TEDx speaker, and mediator based in Mumbai. She's the author of many acclaimed books, including The Breakthrough, Thank You, Cancer and I, Inspire, among others. She also writes columns for popular magazines and newspapers like The Hindu, Teacher Plus, School News, and Reader's Digest. She is a well-loved speaker and has been invited to premier institutes to share her insights. From the World Conference of Spirituality from New Jersey to San Francisco, her workshops wow people with their simplicity but deep impact. She was awarded as one of the amongst 25 most inspiring and influential women of Mumbai by the World Women Leadership and was featured in the top 50 most influential authors by Delhi Wire. We welcome you, ma'am. To moderate this session, we have with us Dr. Meena Rajesh, an accomplished academic leader with extensive experience in management education. She currently serves as the Vice Chancellor of G.H. Raisoni University in Madhya Pradesh. With a career spanning various facets of education, Dr. Meena Rajesh is passionate about fostering innovative and student-centered learning environments. With a keen understanding of rural education's unique challenges and potential, she continuously seeks to elevate the university's profile while making a lasting impact on students, faculty, and the broader community. As a topic itself is so very captivating, which will make us dwell deep into it, forgetting the time frame, I must appreciate the speaker for having accepted and structured this in a time frame of 40 minutes, inclusive of the audience question hour. Ladies and gentlemen, with a roaring applause for the guest, over to Dr. Meena Rajesh.
Yeah, good evening all. We have 40 minutes, so I'll stick on to my objective of exploring more from Megha. Megha, my first question, the title itself talks about the breakthrough. And you being so young, you know, I've never expected a book from such a young lady. So what and why did you choose this particular, area or topic to write a book on?
Firstly, really a pleasure to be here, and I'm so glad that there's so many youngsters, some in age, some in mind, some in heart. So it's just a room full of youngsters, irrespective of the age, because I think you don't need age to do anything great in life. You need courage, and I think we all have that, and that's what makes us, come to such places and do such things. So breakthrough, the word itself for me means that your life is going in a certain way, and suddenly something happens and you realize that everything about your life has changed. And I'm sure all of us have had that moment. Like, it could be one passing sentence that your mother told you. It could be one, a talk that you attended right now in this place. It could be someone just doing or saying something that creates a breakthrough. So I wanted to talk about these moments because the more we recognize breakthroughs, I think the more we attract them. Otherwise, life is just a series of get up, work, sleep, repeat. But that one breakthrough and everything changes. So I think India itself and the history of India itself is written by a breakthrough, because if Mahatma Gandhi was not tossed off that platform, in South Africa, for all you know, all of us as we know it would not have been here. So that was a breakthrough moment for him, and I really believe in the power of intent. So I just have one request for all of you, that why don't we just for 1 minute close our eyes, okay, and think of that one area that all of us really want a breakthrough in. For someone it could be health, for someone it could be, since there's so many youngsters, it could be your education, for someone it could be a relationship. So even before we enter into this 40 minutes, I think if we intend and just decide what is it that we want a breakthrough in, I think the way the conversation will lead, the one who's entered and the one who leaves, I really wish Dr. Meena is not the same, along with me. So should we just take a few seconds to close our eyes and think of what is it that we really want a breakthrough in?
I think we should all.
Yes, I think all of us know what we want that breakthrough in, right? It could have been several, but at least one that really jumped out at you. And let's hope in our discussion, Dr. Meena, they find it.
Yeah. So my question would be like, what was your, like when did you find your breakthrough in your journey?
So, did any of you, let's make this as interactive and fun. The room is such that, we can really, what do you think is one of the greatest fear that the world has? What do you think is one of the greatest fear that a lot of people in the world have? Fear of death is one. What else? Fear of being judged, yes. What else? Losing your precious one, absolutely. And I think all of us can relate to what you're saying, but can you guess one that actually topped most of it? Fear, FOMO, it's a big thing, right, for youngsters nowadays. No. One that we're still missing. Would you believe it? It's the fear of public speaking. One of the biggest fears that people have is the fear of public speaking. And what I realized is that as an author, I loved being in my own space, writing, thinking, dwelling. But facing a crowd or being in front of people was not natural to me. What was natural was to be in my own space, not to be out there. And suddenly when I wrote Breakthrough, and it became a huge hit because typically in the Indian, publishing thing, if you sell 10,000 books in a year, you become a national best-selling author. We had a pre-order of 10,000 books. So suddenly there was so much of a limelight that came in that I was pushed to talk to people, give podcasts, do interviews, and it was very unnerving because I was used to being just on my laptop or with a paper and pen, So I think the biggest breakthrough, Dr. Meena, that happened for me is that I literally had to change myself, transform myself, and I realized that I believe so much in the breakthrough that I do want to talk about it. So putting myself out there, breaking this thing of, literally if all of you were in front of me 4 years ago, I would be shivering, I would be like, I wouldn't come in only, I would say, Dr. Meena, you take over, I'll interview you, it's okay, but I don't want to be interviewed. But now I'm at absolute ease, I feel I'm among friends. And you all can see it, right? Like, can you sense any nervousness? The only reason is that I kept doing that one step. I kept facing my fear. I kept facing it. First with 10 people, then 15, then 20, 100. And there was a time when I addressed 10,000 people and it didn't feel anything because I had already broken it down into so much and it just felt like being with friends. So I think the biggest breakthrough for me was that from an author, I learned to be a speaker, to put myself out there, and like, she said so beautifully that all of us have this fear of judgment, and the moment you cross that, you realize that if I'm fearing judgment, so are all of you. And we're just one and the same. And the more you realize that everyone's actually sailing in the same boat, I think it puts you at ease with yourself. So literally a person who was in 4 walls with one laptop is now all over, and I'm happy. I'm as happy as I was in the 4 walls. So I think that's a big one for me.
That's really great. So when I started reading your book, I could see a great amount of influence of Mahatria on you. Like we all know about Mahatria, and everyone has his or her own idol. Like, we have a role model in life. So how did this journey start? Like, again, I want to understand what made you to get influenced by him, and what made you to choose those 11 personalities that are mentioned in your book that you came across, and why you chose them. Because in your book you have taken specifically 11 people, ordinary people who become an extraordinary personality in their life. So we want to know about that too.
Sure.
Yeah.
So first, my Mahatria is a guru who lives in Chennai and has these global discourses across the globe, and she knew him, I think, even before. So, you know, Ashton and I go back a long way. We were in college together, and I think all of us were a little lost. All of us were all about clothes and, you know, girls and boys and having fun and bunking, and I think that was pretty much our life, right? And somewhere Mahatria coming into my life made me realize that there's so much more to channel, there's so much more to do, and I can either be just, you know, and this is especially for that slot there, all you youngsters, that I can either be another 18, 21, 23-year-old, or I can be one who really makes a difference. And I think this struck me so hard that I ended up writing my first book at 23. And his influence has just been very marked in my life. How I chose these 11 people, so the breakthrough is about 11 people who began their life just like you and me with a lot of, you know, issues. And so it's not your typical rags to riches story, because even when you come from a good affluent family, you could still have some very negative things or challenges that you're going through. So one of the ladies who I've written about, she lost her dad when she was 6 months old. So that was her challenge. So it's about 11 people who began their life with nothing and then went on to becoming really big trailblazers in the city, you know, or in their country. So my reason for choosing these 11 was that my first disclaimer was that I'm going to come and live with you. I told all the 11 people that I don't want to write a book like as if from far away I'm, you know, interviewing you. I want to come and live. I want to see how you are as a person. If I really feel that you're worth writing about, then I'll write about you. And they were a little amused because these are people who've really achieved a lot, and one young girl's coming and telling them that, you know, okay, I'm going to live with you and I'm going to check on you. But I think that gave me a feeling, literally from the way they talk to their drivers, to the way they lead a, you know, 1,000 crore organization, to the way that their marriage is. I wanted to write about people who live a very holistic life, and this little exercise helped me to identify the 11 among hundreds and thousands, and I think I chose the right 11. So I believe that.
Okay, that's quite good. So out of these 11, if you could pick out 3, you know, breakthrough moments, the best of the best, which really turn around the table. So which one would be, like, if you could share? Yeah. Okay. Snippets, like.
If any of you are from Pune, if you've heard of Nitin Nyati, he's a very, very famous builder. Nyati Builders is one of the most famous. He began his life in a one-room kitchen. And today he lives in the most beautiful house in Pune. And the entire journey to me was a huge breakthrough. And he lives his life by one sentence. When was the last time you did something for the first time? When was the last time you did something for the first time? And just using that sentence, he kept pushing himself and doing what he had to. You know, so that's one. The second was, there was this man who in Chennai, you know, used to, when his mother asked him that, what do you want to become when you grow up? He said, I want to become an auto rickshaw driver. So his entire imagination, or the depth or the height of his dream was, he wants to become an auto rickshaw driver. And then he goes on to head Amazon, you know, from India. So how does a man, like you said, Sindhu, everything begins with a thought, you know. It's all the thoughts. So the breakthroughs that they had in their thoughts, I think, is what excited me. There was another girl or lady who, this is a very beautiful moment in the book, that her father left the mother while they were just 1 year old. So she's not ever really experienced a father. And she's sitting in her school. Her name is Dr. Asha. Today she's a huge brand in Bangalore. And the essay says, write an essay about your father. And she's literally, I know this sounds like kuch kuch hota hai, but this actually happened to her. So she's like, how do I write about a father when I don't know what a father is? And she went to a convent school and she was in tears that I'm going to fail, I don't know what a father is. and she looked up and she saw the cross with Jesus Christ on it. And suddenly this thought came to her that I may not have a biological father, but he is also father. And that changed the whole thing, and she wrote an essay and ultimately went on to become a very, very famous doctor. So I think that was a very touching moment, and as she was narrating it, she cried. Hearing her and seeing her cry, I cried. And a lot of people tell me that at that point in the book they cry. So I think those are three that come immediately to my mind.
Yeah, while reading the book, I could sense that, the way you have written it, we could visualize it. It is just watching a, movie, 11 movies one-on-one together. And for our audience or for the general public, how do we create an environment to see that breakthrough? That, in a casual life, in a day-to-day life, do we really, we have so many distractions in our life.
Yes.
So how do you guide those youngsters who want to have some kind of breakthrough in their life? Do they need to take up certain proactive
Yes.
measures?
How many of you in this room want to have a breakthrough? Who wants a breakthrough? You don't want a breakthrough. You want? Everyone wants a breakthrough. Can any one of you share in what area you want a breakthrough? Which area do you want a breakthrough? Which one do you want in?
This moment is a breakthrough. Every moment.
Is a breakthrough. Amazing. But any particular area that you feel you would love to see a breakthrough in? A spiritual breakthrough. Beautiful. And just seeing you, I can feel that how much of the yearning that must be. So, I think breakthroughs happen when you're really open to them, and when you really ask for it, when you really desire it. Like she has tears in her eyes just saying that, and that must be the yearning in her for a spiritual breakthrough. So I think one of the ways that we attract anything in our life is that we really, really have to want it. So I think attracting breakthroughs first happens with desiring very deeply that I really want a breakthrough. And that's how it begins. The second, of course, is that, in fact, I just attended a session. It was really fun. Dr. Meena, can you, if you want to make this bottle fall, can you just blow and make it fall? Can you? I'll give you a secret mantra. Can you make this bottle fall? Yeah. Just blow it. Come on, blow and make it fall. Should I? Yeah, try, just blow. I just attended this. I was amazing. I got so immediate implementation. No. Mara, can any of you blow and make it fall? I loved it. An immediate implementation, right? So if you want to make a bottle fall, that's what you have to do. If you want to attract a breakthrough, you have to work for it. You cannot be sitting nowadays. A lot of people use this manifesting. So I once met a friend and she was sitting with me and she was eating cheeseburger with a lot of fries and she was like, Neha, manifesting health. I'm really manifesting health. And I was like, that's not the way you manifest health. So you have to take the action that is needed. So one is, you have to have a deep desire for it. Second is you have to take the action needed for the breakthrough. And third, very important thing that most of us forget is, I think you have to at one point let go and believe in a higher force that's going to make all the difference. And I think it works like this: desire, do, and then devotion. In fact, I'm going to tell you, you spoke about spiritual breakthrough, and I have to share this one story. A very, very big breakthrough that I had during the launch. So we were ready with the book in 2020, and that's when pandemic happened. And the book is about thinking positive, about breakthroughs, and I wanted to get it to the world then. How do you do it when, all the people are from different cities? How do we even get them together? So we decided, let's have a virtual book launch. And Rupa, publisher, said that if you want to have a virtual book launch, do some tamasha around it and say, it's the world's biggest book launch. Okay? So we were like, okay, come, all 11 of them and me, we were like, let's have the world's biggest book launch. Then he comes and 10,000, 20,000. He tells us 1 lakh is where they've already done. So if you're 1 lakh and 1 people, then your launch is the biggest. So I was like, how do you, I mean, all of us put together, if you invite everyone you know, even then you are not going to touch 1 lakh, right? So I was wondering how we going to do it. Somehow that deep desire, the attracted Book My Show and they said we will come, we will help you to do the launch. All of us went all over saying the world's biggest launch. We're going to, and 15th August 2020 is when we were going to launch it. We worked like no one's business, okay? And yet on 14th August, midnight, at Book My Show's tracking, we were at about 24,000 registrations. So which means we had promised the world more than 1 lakh, but we were not there. That was a moment of absolute spiritual breakthrough for me. I was like, could I have done anything else? And I realized I've done everything I could. So then I realized that, there's that saying, you do your best, comma, and then God does the rest. So I wrote to Mahatria, my guru, I was like, Mahatria, I feel I've literally done my best, comma, now you do the rest. And that comma, to me was actually like, if you look at the way it goes also, it's as if someone's bowing and bowing. So it's like, what I could do, I've done, and now you take over. 15th August, 6 p.m. our book launch happened. Can any of you guess, 24,000 was where our registrations were. Can any of you guess how many people attended the book launch? You tell me the number.
More than 1
Lakhs?
1 plus.
1 lakh plus 1? Yes? Tell me. 3,87,500 people attended the book launch. And how did that 24,000 turn into that number within a few hours? My human intelligence will never explain it. But something took over, and I think that to me was one of the biggest breakthroughs because I realized what I just told you, you have to deeply desire. I worked hard. I did not sit and say, oh, it should happen. I did everything I could, In the end, when I realized I'm still not where I want to be, I think I surrendered in devotion to my source of faith, whoever it is for you, and that's where the magic happens. So I think to me that's the secret of faith.
That's really interesting. So, my question comes from the last thing that you discussed. There are many people who are waiting for their breakthrough moment. Almost like, say, 40 plus, 45 plus. We are still waiting that we did our best, we gave our 100%, but still that breakthrough moment is not yet arrived. So, what you have to say for them? Like, how do they keep that hope alive and make it happen?
That's a beautiful question. So, I think I would go back to the 3 things, the 3 Ds. Desire that, am I really, because a lot of us also as we go along, somewhere the desire does start getting diluted, or we start feeling, nahi hoga. It won't happen becomes more than the it will happen. And I think that's where, we somewhere fail. Second, I would ask them to look at their doing. Are they doing enough to get what they really desire? And the third, which I think everyone misses, because I think you feel if you desire it and you do it, you will get it. I think there's a beyond force that has to work with you. When that comes is when the magic happens. So I would just go on checking on those 3 and seeing where is it that I'm missing. And I think I would find the answer. That maybe the desire has become lesser, or maybe the doing needs to improve, or maybe I'm feeling this is mine, this is my project, me. Maybe I need to let go to something beyond me, and maybe that's when the magic will happen.
So it's more about self-introspection and, finding yourself.
Yes.
Like creating a self-awareness, how do people have that, especially the youngsters, how do they create a self-awareness in them? Can you give them some tips about, because that's the key point in, having that breakthrough moment. So a few qualities, few things if you could give out as an advice for them.
Does anyone know what EMI stands for? What does EMI stand for? Every month installment. Equate? So for me, it's always been exercise, meditate, and introspect. Exercise, meditate, and introspect. So I think the first thing for all of us, it begins with our health. If you want any breakthrough, imagine you really want, like students, you want to top, you want to be at the best. And imagine when the results come, you're hospitalized. Because you worked so hard and you couldn't deal with the stress, what will you enjoy that moment? So for me, the first thing of any breakthrough is that I think all of us have to learn to take care of our health. It begins with that. Second for me has always been meditation, because our meditation could mean anything to you. Like for some it could be chanting, for some it could be listening to music, for some of you it could be breathing, for some of you it could be yoga. For some of you right now, if you're completely involved in this moment, this itself could be meditation. So whatever is your form of meditation, the reason is that connects you to a higher self. Like if I told any of you here that you have an appointment with Amitabh Bachchan, would you be excited? Some of you would be excited. You have an appointment with Virat Kohli, would you be excited? Narendra Modi is waiting outside for you. Would you be excited? Some of you. Now BJP is anyway coming. You may as well get excited. So, what if I told you you have God waiting for you and you have an appointment with God? If all these humans excite you so much, how much should your appointment with God excite you? And that is what meditation is doing. So it doesn't matter which religion, which ritual, which culture you follow. If you invest a few minutes with the higher energy, to me that is meditation. And the most important, introspection. Too many of us are living life as if it's someone else's life, Especially for youngsters, we are more excited. Like, if I ask you what do you fear, you may not know it. But what does Shah Rukh Khan fear? Maybe 10 people will have the answer, So my thing is, unless we know ourselves, what are we here for? So every night before I sleep, Dr. Meena, 5 minutes, I ensure I introspect. I run through the whole day. I see what I did right. I see where I feel I could have done it better. And it seems very routine, very boring. You do it long enough, and literally I've noticed that what I'm doing right is growing. What I'm doing wrong is lessening, because I'm that aware now. So I think EMI, this definition has worked like miracles for me to get breakthroughs, and I wish all of you adopted to get more breakthroughs.
Really good. Like everyone has got a new, anagram for EMI here. Well, have you ever encountered any of your readers after reading your book have met you, expressed his or her, story about, and have you come across any interesting story of your reader?
So one of the most beautiful ones was that because we released the book in COVID, the man took the book and he was he got diagnosed with COVID and a very bad one. He was on ventilator, all that. And he said, all I did was I kept reading one story a day. I just kept reading one story and telling myself, no, I am going to make it to the other end. Literally within, I think 3 weeks or so, he finished the book, okay? Like he was like, I kept reading it again and again and again to just take the message. And he came out of COVID and with the book, so he sent me a video of the book of himself, the ventilator, and saying how no one could meet me, but this book took me through. So that was a moment, and I have that video, and if ever I doubt myself or wonder that what am I really doing, I just watch it and I tell myself, no, you can save lives and you should believe that in yourself, So that's my go-to video. Another very beautiful one was a vice president of one of the biggest banks in India, Kotak. He told me that he always wanted to go back and serve his people in the village. But, once you get addicted to that money, that corporate job, all the perks that come with it, he never could. He read the breakthrough and he actually submitted his resignation on that day. And a year back he called me and he's like, I've started a school in my village and I'm running it. So for me that was really a moment.
very, very.
How a book could have inspired that, right? We keep saying people don't read books, no one, but who has to read reads, and today we are here, in this beautiful literature festival.
And while writing the book, did you come across any unprecedented, something which you have never thought about and that changed your entire thought process while writing the book? Any incident that came across?
I think when I was writing the book, I realized that if these are 11 people and all of them are today so successful, and also the whole tagline of the book is happily successful people, because there are enough successful people, but if you're getting there with losing your peace and you're not as happy, to me that's not success anymore. So when I asked myself, I was like, what do all of them have in common? And can you guess what must have all these 11 trailblazers have in common? What do you think was the common trait of them?
Determination.
Yes, very good. That's very close to the answer. What do you think all 11 of them had? That
They are happy.
a goal. They're all happy, but consistency. A goal.
Yeah.
Beyond consistency is a very
beyond self.
beyond self. They believed in something. Yes, yes. I think that's the word I was looking for. So all of us are going to fail at some point in life. No one can say Amitabh Bachchan has had a patch which was so bad. Everyone thought he'd be bankrupt, and he came back with, Kaun Banega Crorepati. We all know how Virat Kohli was playing for a very long time. I think how they dealt with failure and that resilience is what made them into what they became. So I think as I was writing this book and ingraining all 11 of them into me, I think it's definitely made me a much more resilient person. Like earlier, youngsters really have this. You think that if today you've done it, tomorrow the result. It's like they're so restless. If 1 minute also is buffering, it's like, even in the lift I was seeing that, it's like, you'll go on pressing, as if by you pressing 5 times it'll come faster. It'll come and it has to come only, So I think what I realize is that everyone will fail, but the ones who really become a success are the ones who are going to go beyond it. And again and again and again, not, you don't look at it as once, so I failed but I came back. Again Amitabh Bachchan has to prove himself. Again Virat Kohli, the next match, you have to again prove yourself. So it's a never-ending resilience, I think, that wasn't them, and I kind of just absorbed it.
That's really good. So, for the audience, if you want to give them an advice or tip to create their own breakthrough, so how would you guide them?
I think because I see so many youngsters, the first thing I want to say is that we're living a life of borrowed desires. All of us, we want to have that hair because someone else has it. We want to have that car because someone else has it. We want to go on that holiday because you saw on the reel someone put up a very good holiday. So I would just say that first, at least get to know who you are. Like, who are you? What is Megha Bajaj? I've always asked myself that, is this a borrowed desire or is this what I really want? So I think the first step is to know who you are. And second is to really be, I was watching this interview of someone, who had won an Oscar. And very, very unassuming actor, and literally no one thought he would win it. And he came and he's like, only one thing made me do this. I was unapologetically myself. I was just myself. I think I've been, like even right now the way I'm talking, I don't know if everyone's spoken like this or how the format should be, but I can only be Megha Bajaj, and let me be the best Megha that I can be. So I think those two things, who are you, what do you really want, and then to hold on to that and go that path like never before. I think that's what I would leave everyone with, that please be unapologetic. First know who you are. Once you know who you are, please be unapologetically yourself.
How do you take your critics, since your book is highly circulated, so there must have been critics. So how do you take them on? Like,
So I realize there are two kinds of critics. One is, there are some people who just want to talk bad about everything. I'm sure all of us know at least one person in our life who, whatever you do, they will hate you. Whatever you do, they will put you down. Whatever you do, you wear black, they say it's not suiting you. You wear white, they say it's not suiting you. And Sam is laughing and I can make out you immediately have identified someone. You know, you youngsters, when you go for a wedding, there are those auntie uncles who say, अरे बहुत मोटा हो गया, कितना पतला हो गया, अरे गंजा हो गया, बाल बहुत आ गया. So anything you do, they have a problem with. So such people, when they criticize me, and you know it's time pass, I literally am like this, okay? Like I put it from one ear, I remove it from the other. But if there's a genuine critic where I know they're coming from a space of not just doing time pass, but wanting me to change, I would take it very seriously and I would make sure that I work on myself and improve myself. But I wouldn't give my ear to every person because if I do that, I'll go mad.
Yeah.
But the ones who I know come from a good space, I'll definitely look at it and I will work on myself.
that's really good. I have a question which is quite personal. Like, being a teacher, many a times the young students or youngsters who are very aspirational and they have their breakthrough moment, पर अपने ही लोग, like their own parents or own friends, they cut them down at the very moment. And that's very challenging. So how do you address that? Like, especially the own loved ones say, क्या बोल रहा है, कुछ भी, it's not possible, daydreams. You know, parents also, like, you know, many a times those aspirations, those breakthrough moments are cut down at the very first moment. So how do you deal?
Dr. Meena, I think you can read my thoughts because you've hit on a very raw nerve. My dad's from IIT. My mother's a lawyer, my sister's a doctor. So nowadays writing has become very popular and everyone, but when I wanted to write, my dad was literally like, क्या करोगे, कमाओगे कैसे? Make it a hobby, but don't make it like this. And my dad is someone who I really look up to. And he literally slashed my dreams and said that you cannot become a writer. Do writing Saturday, Sunday. Baki, you have to become an engineer, go to IIT, become a doctor. And I didn't have that brain. I mean, neither do I like numbers, neither do I like, medicine. So how do I do it? So I think it was the first time that I really disagreed with him. And I told him that, no, I want to do this, And he was very disappointed. And hurting people you love, is the toughest thing to do. Because you see that disappointment on their face and it's so tough. But I did it. And his main thing was how will you earn with writing. And that's a truth. I mean, a lot of writers really struggle. One sentence, that all of you, if you can hold on to, the fastest way to tell shut up to the world is by producing results. The fastest way to say shut up to the world is to produce results. So I don't want to say shut up to my dad. I want to show him, Papa, I can do this. And neither he wants me to succeed. 5 years ago, with my writing money, I bought my first Mercedes. I didn't tell my dad I'm buying it. I gave him the keys, I told him, Niche out. And standing there, he had tears and tears and tears running. And to me, that was a moment of the biggest breakthrough. Because he felt you can't, and I showed him you can, and he was only happy for me. Why will a dad ever be again? So I think there are moments where you have to follow your heart, even if it's your own dad or your own mom standing there. But for, what we do is, Dr. Meena, I don't want to eat this, we'll defy them. But career choice, we'll go by what they are saying.
Yeah.
So I think where you disagree and where you put your foot down matters a lot. Do it for things that are really going to define your life.
It's a great learning actually. Like, everyone sitting there in the audience must have visualized their own life. The last question from my side would be like, your book it's almost like a self-help book. Like, when you read it, you could define like where and what we could change in ourselves. So how do you motivate the youngsters that this is possible? Writing a book, having your own experience is possible. Any tips about writing such self-help books?
So, I think no one begins, like if you begin with a very lofty dream, it doesn't really work. But if I tell you, all of you, that today just write one page. Say whatever you experienced here, write one page. Anyone can do it. So I think you have to break down your dreams and begin where you can begin, rather than thinking, oh, next year I'm going to be the author. Just say, today I'm going to start writing one page. Where that page grows, how it grows and steadily develops into something big and significant, I think only time would tell. So I also began with just scribbling. I never thought I would be a national best-selling author talking to people. I thought I'll be a scribbler only, but life works with people who work on themselves.
Very good. So, any questions from the audience? We'll take just 2 questions.
I have one question.
Sure.
While discussing, you mentioned about we should first find out who we are.
Yeah.
Is there any process or anything that you recommend? How really we should know who we are?
I think it begins with writing your strengths. You know, one very beautiful thing is take a book, open it. So you have a left side and a right side. Left side, write all your strengths. Right side, write all your weaknesses. So at least at that end, you'll know, who you are. So you'll know, okay, these are my strengths, these are something I don't like. Similarly, you could do it for a lot of things, like what makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy. Do it on the 2 pages. Slowly, whatever, who do you love, who are some of the people you don't like. The more you do this page thing, I think literally you'll start seeing yourself on those pages emerge. That's one. Second, I think people around us have a lot of insight. So say the 5 friends that you really trust or your family members that you really trust. Actually sit them down and ask them that, what's your name?
Aswad.
Aswad. Aswad. So tell them, what do you think of Aswad? What do you think are really the good qualities in me? And you'll be surprised as to what they come up with. Where do you think Aswad needs improvement? You have to be tough to take that, but you'll be surprised with what comes across. So I think I've done both these to really come to it. Who I am also keeps evolving, right? But at least at this moment, to know myself, I found writing and asking people close to me very powerful.
But again, I did similar exercise in the past. It led me to multiple channels or ways.
Yeah.
Right? So I can do this. I started doing all of these things. Right? So I couldn't come to one thing that this is who I am. Right? So that was the part of the question that I wanted to ask.
So is it more about who you are, or is it more about what you want to do in life?
No.
It's about who you are.
Yeah.
So I think all of us are very complex, like right now some of your friends will say Aswad is very confident, some will say you're very shy. So I think you have to decide for yourself ultimately which one is it, right? So I don't think you need to have a very tight definition of you, but if you know more or less this is what Aswad is, hold on to that and keep exploring more, because in fact too much definition, like I define myself as an introvert writer, and look at me, I'm sitting in front of all of you talking. So if I had held on to that definition too strong, I wouldn't have ever started speaking. I would have only thought I write well. I would have never imagined I can also speak.
So who we are keeps on getting evolving. Right?
Absolutely. And
Progress in life, right?
that's the only way that you will know who you are and what you can become. But you also have to have some idea of who you are, because if you don't know that itself,
Obviously.
how will you even evolve, or what will you build on?
Correct.
The fact that you were the first person to ask a question itself said a lot. And out of this whole crowd, there'll be only a few faces I remember. Her because of the beautiful tears. Him because, I don't know why, but you have a prominence. I remember you, right?
What is the common in all personalities?
What was common in all the 11 personalities? I think resilience, like we said. And I think all of them did that PMI. Exercise, meditation, and introspection. Literally all from different cities. Some didn't even know each other that well. All of them practiced these 3 things in their own way. So I realized that I better adopt if I want to be where I want to be.
Yeah.
Hi, so I have a quick comment to make and then a question. So I really love the discussion, it's very interesting and making me connect. So my comment is regards to the like where love is, self-love is. I think that goes along with defining who you are.
Absolutely.
And that's when you can do resilience yourself. So it all starts during the childhood and it goes on.
Absolutely.
Right, so I don't know if you explored that in the book, but it should.
It's a very big part of who I am. Like for me, love is the only reason that I wake up every day. If I didn't have love for myself, for life, for people around me, why would I even wake up? Or why would I be here? Or why? I have a 1-year baby who I've left back in Bombay and I've come here. I've come out of that love for reaching out to people. So love defines everything.
Exactly, and like we humans, we all need love. And it can look like a double-edged thing. So your parents telling you what is right for you might not be right for you because
Absolutely.
somewhere you have hold on to the love that you would have shed it towards the life.
Yes.
So yeah, that was it. And my question was that there's like if you desire to and devote.
Yes.
So for me, devotion is very arbitrary area. I don't follow.
No.
Is it necessary to do that?
I think for the really big things to happen, I do think there's a beyond factor because by ourselves, we are only that much. Right? Like right now for this conference to be happening, I can say Megha did it. Dr. Meena can say Dr. Meena did it. Sindhu can say Sindhu did it. But how and what all has gone into creating this post that all of us find ourselves together, that's always a z-axis, right? Like this, you define your x, you define your y. The z-axis is the most important thing. And to me, that z-axis is, you call it God, Krishna, Allah, Jesus. But I think there's a very big z-axis that works in all our lives. Why were you born to the parents you were born to? Can you answer it? Why were you a boy, not a girl? Why are you right now in this moment in this room talking to me? How will you ever define it?
So for a sense of direction. Right.
You begin where you can. I mean, you decide where your spirituality is taking you. Is it more intellectual? Is it emotional? Do you have a family God that you want to follow? Just explore it curiously and I think the answers will come searching for you. Desire. It begins. So who knows what would have started today?
Fine. Like,
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Madam Megha Bajaj and Dr. Veena Rajesh, Madam, for joining us. I'm sure the audience would be taking a great spark of thoughts and ideas on the various topics that were discussed like EMI, 3Ds, and defining ourselves. So thank you, audience, for joining us. We will meet you soon in the other sessions of OCLF. Happy wisdom.